Washington begins its government shutdown.
Funding ran out for 9 agencies that employ 800,000 people. Nearly 400,000 more will be furloughed.
We begin this Christmas Day in Washington, where the partial government shutdown is in its 4th day with no immediate end in sight.
Weckworth is one of more than 4,000 Federal Aviation Administration employees who inspect and certify general aviation and commercial aircraft, pilots, flight instructors, and repair stations. They've all been grounded by the U.S. government shutdown.
I've been with the FAA for 18 years.
Phil Potter inspects air ambulances. He's also out of work.
I wish I was out there doing my job.
Furloughed FAA Inspector Troy Tommy can't do his safety-focused job either.
We're there to ensure that that aircraft is as safe as possible for them.
We take care of the radars, radios, instrument landing systems, and navigational lights.
Tim explains we have the best aviation in the world because of the layers and layers of repetitious processes that create a safety net, from maintenance to security screening.
Bowerman is Professional Aviation Safety Specialist Chapter President for Virginia, a union in the Federal Aviation Administration that represents 11,000 technicians, safety inspectors, and administrative personnel.
The American public is being affected because we're not on the job to look at aviation safety. We're not inspecting the pilots, we're not inspecting the airlines, we're not inspecting the repair facilities.
Through PASS, I'm a regional business agent for 7 states. It's crucial that we need to get back on the job. We want to be on the job.
Members of the Professional Aviation Safety Specialists wanted to remind travelers they're part of the hundreds of thousands of employees who were furloughed nationwide.
I want to know more of why I'm in the situation that I'm in, why my family's in this situation, why is my work, why doesn't it matter?
It's very disheartening. It affects our families, it affects our friends.
Jeff Merrow is president of the Indiana chapter. He says their group represents 11,000 workers who just want to get back to work.
Right now, we just want to make sure that we're able to come to work, do our job, and ensure the safety of the flying public.
Mike Perrone is president of the union representing airplane inspectors, safety technicians, and other regulators.
A layer of safety is missing and will continue to be missing as long as the shutdown occurs.
All these aircraft that are flying out of DFW, Atlanta, Chicago, Waco, they're not being inspected and checked off by the FAA.
Chuck Morrison with the local Professional Aviation Safety Specialists Union says 90 Louisville employees in charge of aircraft safety inspections and oversight are not working, so FAA safety standards are not being double-checked.
Landon Raycharge is an aviation safety inspector.
Your airline mechanic is waking up, going to work, and doing his inspections without oversight. They don't have an FAA counterpart.
David Cardullo lives in Riverside, is an aviation safety inspector under the Federal Aviation Commission.
They're maintaining the aircraft, and all of a sudden something might happen with it. What do I do with this? How do I handle this? How do I comply with this regulation? Well, who are they going to call?
Today, Doug Lowe raised the alarm with Congressman Darren Soto during a roundtable with other federal employees.
We have airlines that have been flying now since December 21st, unchecked, unregulated.
Every day that the shutdown continues and there is no oversight of the national airspace over the regulations that are statutory.
So we are not as safe in the air.
That's correct. Every day the government shutdown continues, the airspace is getting more dangerous.
That's great to hear. So I guess we should probably travel by scooter for a while, huh?
Today, FAA employees tell me that they are planning to picket here tomorrow.
They handed out these flyers at Orlando International telling passengers they're worried.
I myself wouldn't fly.
I'm really happy that I have not personally been flying for the last 17, 18 days.
Without the aviation safety inspectors out there, that last line of defense is gone.
I would say it's a vital part of our safety culture.
Mike Perrone heads the Professional Aviation Safety Specialists Union, which represents a wide range of FAA inspectors, technicians, engineers, and evaluators.
We are all invested in making sure they've got the safest aviation system in the world.
Safety specialists on the ground ensure people get to their destinations without a hitch.
Ron Schubert is one of those specialists, and since the partial federal government shutdown, he's been working for free.
In Columbus, Ohio, FAA Aircraft Inspector John Jeffries is back on the job.
I'm out here to perform a safety function to help the folks out and to keep aviation industry safe. But I would like to be compensated for it.
We have folks that are going to work that are not getting paid.
Cesare Valenti is one of them. He and his colleagues, he says, are anxious.
They're worried about how they're going to pay their next bills, how they're going to feed their family, what's going to happen with their health insurance.
Joe Martinez is a technician for the FAA.
We're keeping things running, and we're doing it without pay.
Just like anybody else who goes to work, they deserve to be paid for the work that they do.
Adam Wyndham's been without a paycheck for 35 days, despite working to keep air traffic control equipment operational.
We're still making sure everything's running fine, so who really notices that the government's shut down? You know, we're keeping things going.
John Welsh says he and his colleagues haven't had a paycheck in weeks.
It's putting a lot of stress on the family.
Members held signs like this at Mitchell Airport Saturday, asking for an end to what is now the longest government shutdown.
I just want the public to think to themselves, how many paychecks could they go without?
I'm a single income family. I've got 3 mouths to feed, and my paycheck is super important. It's the only one coming in.
James Bickley is a professional aviation systems specialist at the Toledo Express Airport.
Bills don't get paid. I mean, they don't stop asking for money because I'm not getting a paycheck.
Furloughed federal employees like Jill and Rick White must make ends meet.
This is devastating. I've gone to the bank. I've asked them what they could do. They said, when are you going to go back to work? I said, I don't know.
Que sí tenemos el compromiso, pero sí hay muchos de ellos que no van a poder y van a tener que buscar otro trabajo. Y la situación en Puerto Rico no está fácil. No es como decir yo voy a hacer de mi trabajo y voy a conseguir otro. Obviamente es muy difícil.
It's impacting my household. It's daily stress in my household. So it's an extra layer that prevents me from concentrating on doing my job to its fullest, unfortunately.
It's difficult. It's very difficult because it's going on almost a full month.
Morale's starting to go low.
The men and women who keep the landing system safe at Bradley, from the radars to the lights, came in from the field and into the terminal to tell passengers what life is like behind the scenes as the government shutdown continues to force them to work without pay.
David Kirsch is having tough conversations with his wife.
The stress is pretty intense.
Kirsch works in airfield technical operations at Atlanta's airport and doubles as a local chapter president for the Professional Aviation Safety Specialists Union.
We have all these obligations that we need to maintain with our debtors, and honestly we're at that point where we just don't know what to do.
We got to buy gas, we got child care to pay for.
It's hard for them to actually focus and pay attention to their jobs, knowing that this upcoming Monday they're not going to get paid.
Can we just easily say this? We can do this forever? Absolutely not.
How much longer can the two of you hang on financially?
It's a hard question.
To be played like we're being played, to be used like we're being used, is going to damage the workforce for the long term.
Feel like they're being exploited, and they should feel that way because they are.
Irvin Uzzle is picketing on his day off.
We come to work every day and we don't get paid.
Frustrating that we're getting dragged into this.
Also stuck between a rock and a hard place, federal workers like Brandon Dyer, who's an aviation safety specialist.
Stuck in the middle, just waiting for it to blow over.
I'm having to rack my brain to come up with ways to make money, to pay bills that I can pay.
And for Jim Kubalanza, that means driving for Uber and Lyft just to live.
I feel like I'm a number on a piece of paper.
A former Marine, he gets $600 a month from disability insurance. But if the shutdown doesn't end soon, he'll need to dip into his savings.
Some people have savings they can tap into, but some people aren't as fortunate.
Stress of not getting paid and worrying about your finances and your family.
That uncertainty is difficult.
Sebastian Hanau is an FAA technician and the Colorado president of the union that represents a few hundred of his co-workers.
We stick to one day at a time.
Think of anyone that you know that goes and what goes on in their life. Now imagine that you don't have a paycheck. Money doesn't buy happiness, but it sure does buy everything else.
The longest government shutdown in U.S. history is over.
Today's announcement of a deal to reopen the government, a huge relief, according to a union rep.
We're doing our job. All we ask is that Congress and the President do their job.
To do the right thing for the American people.
Noel Lindback is an aviation technician, hoping this is the last time he'll have to protest a government shutdown.
Hopefully with this deal that's signed, we'll get paid on time, and hopefully they'll come up with another deal long term, and this won't be an issue in the future.